AliExpress is often synonymous with cheap, low quality, and even often fake products. But not everything is a borderline scam like most people believe it is. In this video, I'm going to show you 5 excellent quality AliExpress cycling products that I use on a near daily basis. All the products I feature in this video will be linked down in the description below. Just so you know, if you did decide to buy a product with the link I provide, the channel will get a small kickback, which will help fund buying more products to make future videos just like this one. First up, we're going to start with some maintenance items, and these Delixi Allen keys and Torx wrenches. Despite being very clearly inspired by a famous German brand of tools, these are actually excellent quality. The multicoloured handles, whilst you think are a bit of an aesthetic gimmick, are really quite useful. The different colours lets me know immediately what tool I'm reaching for, so it just makes reaching for specifically a 4 or a 5mm a far easier job, especially when it's cold or at night and I'm trying to get my bike jobs done quickly. The steel on them is actually really high quality. In the 6 months I've owned these, there's barely a mark on them. The only real damage that's done to them is all the grease marks from me having grubby hands while working on my bike. Even the small ones have stayed really good quality. Now they've got a ball head on one end and a standard head on the other end, so you can get into them tight angles with the ball head and put a bit of torque down with the main head. Now, are they going to be as good quality as an ultra premium set like Wera or Park Tool wrenches that are going to last a lifetime? Well, it's really too early for me to tell. I've only had these 6 months, but in the 6 months I have had them, they have genuinely been excellent. And as I said, I've barely put any wear on them yet. Next up, we have cheap carbon bottle cages. AliExpress is flooded with unbranded carbon bottle cages, but I think this design here is the best one for your money. You'll often see these called XXX bottle cages because they are a clone of an old Bontrager design, but they really are dead good for retaining your bottle and barely weigh anything. Throwing this cage on the scale along with all the grime on it, it weighs in at 17.7 grams. There are loads of different brands that manufacture and sell these cages. To find them, all you need to do is search in AliExpress for XXX bottle cage, or I've linked one example of them in the description below. One thing to note is when I first got these cages, I thought they were a bit undersized because they were really tight gripping the bottle. Now I've been using these for about 6 months now, and after a couple of rides they did loosen up. So don't worry if at first they seem a bit tight on your bottle. The carbon will get a little bit more malleable as you use them, and yeah, they've held up for 6 months, so I am pretty happy to recommend these. At the moment, for a pair, you're looking at around $10 to $15, so way cheaper than any Western brand. And yeah, you can't really go wrong with a carbon bottle cage. It's not like it's a safety critical item like a stem or a handlebar, so I would recommend grabbing yourself a pair of these. Third on the list is an item that any Northern European rider will appreciate the importance of, and that is a decent pair of overshoes. I needed some going into last winter and didn't want to pay the price of a Western brand, so took a gamble and ordered a random pair off AliExpress. And I found their performance to be absolutely excellent. My feet have always stayed really dry in them thanks to this thick rubberized material they're made of, and they keep you warm with a really decent fleecy inside. In terms of durability, overshoes are notorious for getting worn out quickly. You're walking around in them, they're really exposed to the elements on your feet, going through muck, grime, loads of salt on the road, so they're bound to suffer the worst of the conditions on the road. And if a pair survives even a season, they are really well made. These have sorted me out for the past 12 months and actually have held up really well. The Velcro on them is still really strong. The toe pad's not worn out like it does on a lot of overshoes quickly. And likewise, the heel isn't. They're both made of this really thick reinforced material which holds up really well and have a nice reflective patch on the heel. The only bit of damage they have sustained is I have put a tiny rip in the side of the fabric, but that was entirely my fault. I hadn't actually put them on properly and the material was flapping around and I caught a bit in my pedal and then hastily ripped it trying to pull it out. If you're not an idiot like me, I think they'll last you absolutely ages. So they're sold by a company called GIYO or Geo. No idea how to say that, like all these brands. And like most of the products on this list, they are really cheap, costing only around $10. If you need to get yourself a pair of overshoes, I'd strongly recommend getting these. Overshoes are a really consumable product that does wear out quickly, unless you're spending obscene amounts of money on some really high-end brands. Grab yourself a pair of these and you won't be disappointed. On to the next product. The next item on the list is these Senix PR3 cranks, and actually also the PR2 equivalents as well. These cranks are really cheap. They're about $30 and they come in a whole range of sizes, I think all the way from 165 to 175. I actually bought these not for my bike, for my partner's bike, because it came with wildly inappropriate 175 cranks and I wanted to give her something a more appropriate length. So I got these 165s for $30 and upgraded the bike. They're dead easy to fit because they just use a 24mm Shimano style axle, and to be honest with you, if you look at the way they mount, they are pretty much a clone of a Shimano style crank. The difference to Shimano though is they use the SRAM 3-bolt chainring mounting system. From doing upgrades to my cross bike, I had loads of SRAM 3-bolt mounted chain rings and spiders knocking around. So actually I've just put on an 11-speed single chainring with a spider and it works perfectly. It was a really simple upgrade and it's really easy if you've got a bike with a BB86 bottom bracket just to plug and play. Take out your old Shimano cranks, put these in. I think the best use for these cranks is probably for just trying out a new crank length before buying something a bit more premium, because they are really quite heavy, but they're really solid and I can't see really how you can go wrong with them. If you have a bike with a more 30mm oriented bottom bracket, they make one called the PR2, which is pretty much exactly the same, except for it uses a dub style axle. I think they'll probably be a bit lighter as well because it'll be an aluminium rather than a steel axle. But yeah, really recommend these. Again, like everything, they're linked in the description below. And finally, we have these YKYW bike bib shorts. Now, I've been using these for a few months now, and they actually are really good for the price. They have quite a basic pad in them, but they are rather comfortable, and they do also sell versions with some branded pads in them if you're interested. They are more expensive though. They've got nice taped straps that do sit really well, pretty solid leg grippers, and generally they are just quite well made, especially for the price. I would say their quality is equivalent to around a £50–60 pair of shorts that you'd get from a Western brand. The durability does seem pretty good for now. I've not had any issues with either of the pairs I've been using, and I have been using them, as I said, for around 6 months now. The only downside I've had is the fit is definitely an Asian fit. Now, what I mean by that is, generally, Asian clothes are for sort of shorter, stockier builds and not really the most appropriate for my build. So I often find the leg length on these is quite short for me. And now it's fine on the turbo, but it's not the most comfortable outside. And I do find the legs sometimes riding up. However, if you're not a weird, tall, skinny build like me, they probably will fit you a lot better. So I wouldn't rule them out just for that. It's just something to be aware of. They only set me back around $12, I think, at the time when I bought them. Obviously, AliExpress prices vary a lot, but for that price, you really can't go wrong, even if they are just a backup pair for using on the turbo. Now for a bonus item, this Sight Plus electronic mini pump. The reason this is a bonus item and not on the normal list is I actually didn't pay for this with my own money, and Sight Plus did send me this for free. However, I do think it is a genuinely impressive product and worth talking about. One of the best features is it has a digital pressure gauge on it, and now on my road bike I run Zipp 303 Firecrests, which are hookless wheels, and on hookless wheels it's really important you don't go above 73 psi. So if I'm just inflating this with a mini pump or with a CO2 canister and I don't have any form of pressure gauge, I don't have a clue how much pressure I'm putting in that tyre. Yes, I can feel how firm it is, but if I'm running close to that anyway, I really don't want to be going over that limit and risk blowing the tyre off my rim. This just inflates your tyres to the desired pressure, then cuts off and stops. I found the battery life to be pretty good. I've inflated several tyres with it on a single charge and there's no problems there. However, generally I'm only using this to top up my tyres, but there was one ride where I have had a puncture on it and it only used around a third of the battery life. Fully inflate my 30mm P0s on my Firecrest rims, and they also blow up to around 32.5mm when they're full, so they do hold a lot of air. It weighs 165 grams, so it's definitely not as light as a pump, but if you're just out training, it is a really convenient option. You simply thread it onto your valve, select the target pressure you want, so in this case I'm going to go for 50 psi on my gravel tyres, and let's go. And then it automatically stops once you hit the target pressure. You just unthread it and your tyre's ready to go. So I have been really impressed with this. One downside I would say is it's not waterproof. So they actually give you a Ziploc bag to store it in. I really think for a next version of this product, they really should make an effort to waterproof it. Even if they just use the rubber case it comes in and add some little flappy covers to cover the charging port and air hole when you're not using it, that would hopefully go a long way to make it a bit more water resistant. Now, these are available on AliExpress, but they also sell them direct, and they have actually provided me with a bit of a discount code if you buy it direct off them, which I'll leave in the description below. After a month of using this mini pump then, I trust it enough to leave my regular manual pump at home. Now, the first few times I went out, I was definitely carrying both with me just in case. But yeah, it's not failed me yet, and I am really confident with it. How it lasts over a longer period of time, well, I'll keep you updated in the comments if I do ever have any issues with it. But for now, I am really impressed. So I hope you enjoyed this look at some great value AliExpress cycling products. I'll be back with a part 3 next month. So if you're interested in that, get yourself subscribed, get active in the comments if there's any products you would recommend me including on that list. And make sure you give this video a thumbs up. It really helps the algorithm recommend this video to more people. I'll see you all in the next one.